You're so keen.
Hi, how's it going? This is our first Ask Us Anything live, and we are pumped to do it. We got so many questions. We actually have to do this in a part 1, part 2, maybe part 3 series.
Yeah, we'll see how many questions we get.
Yeah, so we have 6 questions that we're going to go over today, maybe 7-ish if we have time. So it's really just going to depend, on you guys, how many questions you ask. Please ask as many questions as you need. But yeah, we're going to go over some of the questions we had. So if you did ask a question, we're not answering it, make sure you tune in next Tuesday because we're going to do the follow-up then.
And we really appreciate how many questions we got. Like we had
amazing.
Instagram messages, Facebook, comments underneath. So it was really awesome. Again, so like we said, we will get to all of them. We just don't want you to be here for like 2 hours tonight. So that's why we're going to definitely do a part 2.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So should we just get started?
Yeah, let's get started so
Okay.
you don't waste any of your guys' time.
So one of the first questions we got was about the Yuugi ball. So what is the Yuugi ball? What does the Yuugi ball do? Why does everybody love the Yuugi ball, etc.? So
Yeah,
I'll hold it up.
Okay,
if you want to
awesome.
chat. This is your thing.
Yeah, so this is actually a Northern Lights TKO ball. We started using this in place of the Yuugi ball for a couple different reasons. Yuugi ball was actually a Canadian company and switched. And it switched to a US company, and so we started getting this, and we actually found they were better quality. So when we talk about Yuugi ball, we just talk about this ball specifically, even though it's technically not a Yuugi ball, but that's how the class started, so that's kind of what we went with. But basically it is a medicine ball into a stability ball. So, like the big, round, bouncy stability ball with a smaller medicine ball put into that, which is a little bit softer, but it's really dense. So that's what it is, and the reason I love it and I fell in love with it was actually because of a client introducing it to me. And at this time is when I was actually lifting quite heavily. I was more into bodybuilding, and then she introduced me to this ball, and then I realized that this ball actually recruited more muscles. So unlike when you do, like, say, a bicep curl, you're actually just isolating the bicep muscle, right? So, but when you pick up a Yuugi ball, I'm not isolating anything. I'm actually working my wrists, my forearms, my biceps, my triceps, my shoulders,
your core,
even my core, a little bit of back. So you're basically doing like an all over body workout, and it's an incredible tool to use during HIIT training, so high intensity interval training. So, for example, if I was to want to work my shoulders with dumbbells, I would grab dumbbells and then I would do something like a dumbbell press. With this, I would grab it, I would take it up, and then I would slam it off my knee. I know you can't totally see.
Her favorite move.
Yeah.
The rest of us all hate because it's so hard.
I love it so much. But it is incredible at not only working your shoulders, but also your core, your cardio, your biceps, your upper back. It gets so much more in. So the benefits, as far as I'm concerned, is it's more of an all-over body workout. You really start to tighten and tone your arms as opposed to build them, which is kind of the state I was in at the time I was introduced to this. And it really leaned me out. So I found that, doing higher reps at a more high intensity, I leaned my arms out but kept them nice and strong. So yeah, that's the benefit.
Well, look at Pat's arms.
Yeah.
That does Yuugi. Oh my God, her arms are to die for.
Incredible. So they're really beneficial. My only dislike, not that this was a question, but I do want to touch on, is that because everything's in front of your body, it's really hard to keep a nice posture during it. So if you overuse the Yuugi, you might tend to find that you're a little bit strained in the front of your body, specifically around your chest, which actually causes a lot of stress in your upper back. So you're going to want to stretch out your chest a lot, stretch out the front of your shoulder, and make sure that you do a complementary exercise for the balance muscles, which would be your upper back. Okay, so that's kind of a quick little synopsis of the Yuugi ball. There's a lot more I could talk about, but that hopefully answers your question.
I think Rita had a question about it. Can you attach a link to purchase the ball after?
Oh, yeah, that's Elaine. Yeah, absolutely we can. No problem. And actually you can buy this ball off Amazon now, which is amazing. And it's half the price. When we first got introduced to Yuugi balls, they were $115 per ball. And now you can get these for $40 to $80, which is way better price. Yeah. It all depends on the pounds that you get.
I saw your comment, April, about my lipstick. Thank you for making me feel pretty.
yeah, I know. Not a lot of people can pull it off. I love it.
It was today, I was I feel sluggish. I'm I need to put lipstick on.
It works.
Question number 2 that we're going to cover is, we were asked about fad diets. The question basically said, because we have our eating under control and because we know so much about food, are we ever kind of tempted or steered in the direction of trying out some of the fad diets such as paleo, ketogenic, etc.? So basically our answer, we have slightly different opinions, but generally the same, is that no, we don't. We're both in a spot now where we found what works for us, what satisfies us, what nourishes us, and we luckily know how to listen to our body a lot better. By no means are we perfect all of the time, but I know that doing some sort of fad diet is not going to be long-term for me, so it doesn't really interest me. I'm more about nourishing my body as a whole every day. It's not about necessarily weight loss or trying to burn as much fat or this and that and the other thing. So Ashley and I we're not really big into the fad diets, especially you.
I'm very against fad diets. I'm anti-fad diets, and it's not that I don't believe some of them have scientific base behind them. It's just more that any fad diet is exactly that. It's a fad, and that it's not a lifetime thing. So using keto as like, it's a really big fad diet right now, and it's just
probably the fad diet.
Yes,
right now.
It probably is. Yeah. And in my opinion, it's just another interpretation of the Atkins diet. And all of my own experience with clients, myself, and my research I've done, anybody who does any sort of low carb, extremely low carb diet like that and puts themselves into a ketogenic state is going to gain it back and then some. You're going to get in this like horrible habit of yo-yo dieting. Yeah. So I don't agree with them. I mean, there's a lot of different fad diets, but that's a huge one right now. I don't recommend it. Would you lose weight on it? Yes.
Yes.
Could you maybe sustain that for 6 months, a year? Quite possibly. But would it last you a lifetime? No. I don't think it would. So I think that if you're going to find something that's sustainable and that you feel comfortable in for your life, that you have to be willing to take it slower. Yeah. And you might lose, and you might lose some quick initial weight, like the water weight and like just like that bloat and everything, like during our Tighten and Tone challenge. But anything else like that is going to be a little bit more of like that 1 to 2 pounds. You might hit a plateau, 1 to 2 pounds a week, plateau, and that's going to be a lot more sustainable. And you're going to be happier while you do it. You're not going to be a raging bitch because you're like so low on carbohydrates.
It's very tempting, especially when you see people do it and are killing it, and they're like, I've lost 30 pounds in 30 days and blah, blah, blah. And I guess if you have a reason that you quickly need to lose weight for superficial reasons, okay. But again, we're not about the fast, like, we're about sustainability and about having a balanced approach to your life.
A lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. And you need to feel satisfied, because if you don't feel satisfied at some point, you are going to binge, which actually will lead us into another question.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of nutritionists that promote keto. And like what I was saying to Ashley earlier today when we were talking about the questions is that most people don't have the knowledge that a full nutritionist has. Even I, as a new nutritionist, don't have the knowledge of somebody that's been doing it for 20 years. So some of the people that are doing it, they know so much about their body, how to listen to their body, what fuels it, what works for it, that it might actually work well for them. But for the everyday person, I think you're setting yourself up for failure, and you think because you hear of all these success stories that it's going to be easy, and then when it's not, you think that there's something then wrong with you.
Yes.
And then you start
you're a failure.
Yes. And also, it does promote a lot of dairy. Now, like again, a lot of the nutritionists and stuff that follow the ketogenic diet, they still are eliminating dairy. But for the most part, a lot of it's very high dairy. And I was saying that one of the things I saw on Facebook that was being shared, a ketogenic snack, was like slices of like salami, or like the deli meat, like salami, hot Genova salami or whatever, baked so it was crispy and then dipped into mayonnaise. And that was the snack.
No.
And I was just like, oh, any diet that tells you that is okay. One, forget about the fact that it's not the good kind of fats, but that it's also filled with like sulfates and nitrates and MSG and all these chemicals that are really bad for your body and for balancing your hormones. To me, it's just like a recipe for disaster. And slow and steady, man, that's the best approach.
Yeah.
Plus, carbs make you happy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like they do.
And you can still lose weight, which we will touch on again. I don't know if it's today or next week. And one thing I want to touch on with fad diets as well, I've had people challenge me and be like, well, Ashley, you're, gluten-free and dairy-free. Not all the time, but I would say like 99% of the time I'm gluten and dairy-free. They're like, isn't that a diet? Some people might view it like that, but here's the difference between like a diet like keto diet and being dairy and gluten free. I'm not eliminating any of my macronutrients.
Yes.
Like I'm still having all my healthy fats, all my carbohydrates, all my proteins. I'm not.
You're still getting all your calcium.
Yeah, and all my calcium. But with the ketogenic diet, that you are basically eliminating. You're majorly decreasing your carbohydrates, which I know from past experience has had a really negative effect on my hormones and actually could have been an influencer in creating a low thyroid. So, and I know from like working at the gym years ago, a lot of the women that did fitness shows and went in like a low carb diet and then would eat regular and low carb diet. So they basically went in and out of a ketonic state.
Yeah.
Is they really yo-yo dieted and like fucked with their thyroid.
And so their metabolism.
And their metabolism.
Yeah.
So just be careful. So that's a really like long answer for you, but no, we're not into fad diets. Yes, there's more than keto, but we thought we wanted to touch on that.
That seems to be the one that we get asked the most about would be the paleo and the keto diet. And even like one of the podcasts we listen to, like Angie Lee, Rich Bitch, she's someone we're kind of obsessed with. And she talks about how she actually used to be a fitness model and that the diet was so restricted and like carbs, like she cried in her car, I remember she was saying, because she had 2 extra almonds because that was going to put her at too many carbs. And it's just like she literally, her body was so messed up after that for years that it took years to recover and for her to get her metabolism back and to feel good again. Yeah. So no.
Just be careful.
I guess basically is no. We don't try fad diets. We might try things that are like when we learn things about like how coconut oil, like a few years ago that wasn't as common. So now it's something that's in our life all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe fad foods we would try, but we wouldn't be eliminating full food groups.
Our version of a keto diet is intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And I would say that's the closest I've came to getting on like a fad diet, if you want to call that a diet train.
Yeah.
Like I tried it myself. I'm not eliminating macronutrients. It can be a lifestyle. It can be realistic, and I feel like doing it.
And you're not depriving any calories or any nutrients. No. You're just creating a smaller window that you eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I think that should hopefully answer that question. There was a couple comments.
Okay.
It's hi. My mom.
Hi, honey.
It says hi, honey, Ashley. And hi, Ashley.
Hi. So cute.
Okay, next question. Do your significant others eat similar to you? And I think we both would say very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think that if your significant other doesn't eat similar to you, you have to do your best to convince them to get on the bandwagon because it will make you more successful. Like it does make it a lot easier when I want to cook a healthy meal and Matt's like, sure, I'm game. The only difference that we were saying is that like typically men want to eat a lot more, specifically your man, because he's very physical labor. Yeah. So, and Matt, when he works out, he's like more hungry, so they tend to eat a little bit more. So like we might add like more of like a meat or something into it,
or add more of like a starch. Except for here's the bad thing. Like even tonight, for example, I made salmon, broccoli, and I was like, I know Justin's gonna want something else, so we made mashed potatoes, and then that gluten-free bread we got from the bakery today, which was amazing. And I'm always like, yeah, okay, I've been having a lot of carbs lately. I'm not gonna, and of course I make garlic mashed potatoes. Like I can say no to that. So the annoying thing is that I end up eating more.
Yeah.
And maybe like I eat different if he's not there.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, oh, I don't really care. I'll just whip up a salad or I'll have something that's easy. But I do sometimes feel more of like, well, I should make sure it's more of a home cooked meal. And that's just my thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't expect it. He's not like, where's my dinner when I get home?
Yeah.
That's just who I am as a person. And it's annoying for myself.
He's a lucky man.
Yes. But so for the most part, but he would also snack more than I would too. Like he always needs like a late night snack where he'd have like 2 pieces of peanut butter toast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to intermittent fast. Don't eat that in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he eats what I make.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I say Matt's the same. Besides at work, obviously, if he goes out for lunch or takes his lunch or wants to like grab a lunch, it's obviously he might eat a little bit different as me. He's not as strict with like the dairy and the gluten as I am. Like when we go to my dad's place and my dad's making like garlic bread, like Matt will be like, oh yeah.
Oh, it's like, Justin's favorite food.
Yeah. Like where I'm like, I'm good. Like I don't even crave it anymore. So yeah. But in general, in our household, we eat the same. Like he eats what I eat and Rowan eats what we eat, and it makes it a lot easier to stay on track.
And then I'll just also buy some things that, like, if I know that I want to have like a quinoa salad for lunch for a few days, like that's not going to fill him up. So I'll just like make sure that there's something else that he can take with him to fill it up type of thing. And if you're also wondering what we're drinking, Ashley made us some amazing, what did you make again?
Golden milk.
I was going to say turmeric latte because it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
So people are probably wondering what we're sipping on because we said we were going to have wine, but she's not feeling the best. I'm on painkillers right now for my back. We're kind of a mess between the two of us right now.
We still have lots of information for you, but physically we'd like to be laying on the ground.
Yeah. We were doing half our work today laying on the floor. We were taking turns laying on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, so that answers that question. So another question, we're kind of combining two questions. One was, how do you prevent weekend sabotage? So basically she was saying that she eats super healthy all week long, and then come Friday evening, the rest of the weekend, she binges out, which I can really relate to. And we're kind of pairing that question with another one we got about foods that combat cravings and hunger. So do you want to start with this one?
Sure, because I can majorly relate to it as well. If you find, these questions do go perfectly together, because if you find that you're eating so clean during the week that you end up binging on the weekend, typically in my experience, it's because you're eating too clean and you're not eating enough. Especially and I know Ashley is one of the people that asked the question, and if you want to stay anonymous, I won't say your last name, but she also works out a lot, and she's a very active mom of 3. So like you probably burn more calories than you realize. So I would say what worked for me is adding more carbs in and making sure, which helps with the cravings, so that when like the weekend comes, you're not like, because I used to binge on the weekends. I would binge until I was so sick.
Like Monday morning, I would like dread, because I know how much my stomach, and this is, I don't mean like a long time ago, like I still sometimes have weekends like this, but that feeling when you wake up of nausea and you wake up bloated, and I'm just like, why do I feel like it's Sunday night? Oh my God, I have to get in as many chips as I can, because starting Monday, I cannot have a chip until the weekend.
Yeah.
Which when you make it so off limit, is when you want it more.
Yes.
And you gave me great advice. You were like, just eat the chip on Tuesday. If you want some chips, just eat the chips and don't treat the weekend differently.
Yes.
And now that I have that mentality of like, okay, it's just because it's Tuesday doesn't mean I have to like only eat a freaking salad. It's a lot easier on me to just be like, every day is a day.
Yeah.
And if I really want the treat, it probably means that I can have by no means do you have the treat every day, but like to find things that curb that craving.
Yes.
So some of the snacks that we provide.
Yes. So if you're craving stuff a lot, like I would try to eat so clean during the week and like stay within my caloric needs, which I don't subscribe to that anymore at all. I eat when I'm hungry. I eat until I'm content, and I don't limit my carbs, and that really helps. So like, for example, we went to this new bakery this morning. That's where we met, and it was gluten-free, and it had vegan, like dairy-free options as well. Well, I got a treat, and I had it today. Today's Tuesday. I don't give a shit. Like, rewind 10 years ago, I wouldn't have done that. I would have, if I did, I would have felt guilty. I wouldn't have ate for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I would have made sure I had like an hour-long cardio session tomorrow. But now I just ate it. I'm like, sweet deal. Like, that was delicious.
And then you just know you're going to have a healthy lunch.
Yeah. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm moving along. And then, so that's kind of the way I like, so just make sure that you're not so strict that like you're trying to get it all in on the weekend. So if you're really craving something during the week, give into it. But you don't want, like Haley said, you don't want to give into it too much that it becomes a habit and you're creating this craving, this like palate for like sugary stuff all the time. So how to combat the sugar cravings is to make sure you have your carbs. If you're craving sugar, either it's you're having too much of it, so you're craving more of it, and you're getting those highs and lows, or you're not having enough of it and your body's like, you know what?
I need it.
I'm going to make you, like, screw you for not giving me enough. I'm going to make you want me, and I'm gonna make you want the like nastiest, dirtiest stuff.
Yes,
it's like I need it now.
Yes.
So like if you have, you know, like your Lara bars during the week, or you make your healthy like muffins that we have, or like your chocolate avocado pudding, and like you allow those things to happen during the week, you're gonna find that your cravings are a lot more in control. And just allowing that to happen.
Well, and finding a healthier alternative. And that's where Really Fit Online comes in. And with the meal plan, like I really do try to find things for you guys that are going to satisfy that craving. Like by having different pastas and having like pot roast and all these things that you love, but putting a healthier twist on it. So just because you're craving, you know, ooey gooey mac and cheese or chicken Alfredo, like finding something to make it a healthier version, while if it's brown rice pasta and using like cashews instead of the dairy and having nutritional yeast. So that's the biggest thing is, and it can get kind of fun and you can get creative and like trying to see of how, like, I always look at how good can I make something that's good for me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that makes me more excited than when I make something and people don't know that it's healthy and they're like, oh my God. Like those chocolate muffins, the blender muffins that you have, like those you would never know are good for you. And they satisfy your carb and your chocolate cravings. So it's finding those things that make you feel satisfied and good. You're still not, again, going out and just eating whatever you want. You're in control of that situation.
Yeah. Like if I have those things like regularly throughout my week, then I'm not craving the bad stuff and I'm so much more in control, and I don't feel guilty when I have, like if I want pasta, then I'm going to have pasta. My body's asking me for it. It's craving it. I probably had some pretty serious workouts and I need to like refuel that. So I'm going to have brown rice pasta with like a healthy like avocado pesto sauce on top, instead of being like, I want KD mac and cheese. Like, and then it's so like your body processes it different, and you're not going to be bloated, and you're going to digest it more easily, and like you're going to use up those calories more easily. So,
and even adding in, so like if you're craving pasta, like I always just make sure I add in a ton of veggies with it. So I'm like, all right, well, if I want pasta, I'm going to make sure I've got broccoli, mushrooms, cauliflower, all these things that I can add into it. So I'm still getting, maybe the main part of that actually is veggies, almost with pasta within it. So you're just kind of doing a less of a portion of one and increasing the portion of the good stuff.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Yeah. Ash just asked a question. It's the worst when I drink wine. I want treats. I might see if look at, I was able to see the rest. I might see if kombucha in a wine glass might help. I will try adding some more carbs. So Ash, that's a great point. Drinking definitely does that, and a lot of the time that happens because of the blood sugar drop. So if you're gonna have wine, like maybe even snack on a little bit of like almonds, like raw almonds or something, and that will help. Yeah, dark chocolate, like that will help with your sugar drop. That happens sometimes with alcohol, and then you won't be finding that you're reaching for the bad stuff. Like make it part of your routine, and plus that will give you more balanced blood sugar level while you have the wine, so it's not putting you into fat storing mode anyways.
And go to my Instagram. I posted yesterday a kombucha cocktail that sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing.
I would probably sip out vodka.
You know, we almost should have had that tonight. Maybe next week.
I kind of thought about that, but I was like, yeah, maybe next week, yeah. But kombucha as a mix for cocktails is quite all right to do. It's low in sugar. It's going to give you still all of its benefits, and then you get to have a little buzz with it too.
Yeah, and we were just saying today how much we love kombucha because it makes us burp, and we like to burp.
It does feel satisfying. So I hope it answers your question about the weekends and stuff.
One of my goals is to have one of those amazing chocolate muffins and other snacks made. So when you want a snack, I know I have those ready instead of buying crap snacks. Yes, exactly, Lisa. Like having those things on hand. That's why I love Lara bars, because we don't always have time to cook things, right? Or to bake things.
Yeah.
So I always have Lara bars. I literally have them. I probably have like 3 purses I move between. I have a Lara bar
in all of them
in each purse, so that when I leave, if I'm craving something, I'm not like, I'm gonna go to McDonald's and blah, blah, blah.
I also leave one in my car for when you're driving or something, you're like, oh my God, I'm starving.
Yeah, just be careful in the summer because they melt.
Oh, yeah.
I've had the chocolate melt.
But making the batches of them and keeping them in the freezer, like I keep all the muffins, all the like bars, everything in the freezer, and I just pull out one. I actually like them frozen.
Yeah.
And it makes you eat them slower too. So I like to eat things really slow.
Yeah.
We're like Justin and my mom, they're very similar in the sense that they're like chocoholics and they're like, get it in my mouth. Yeah. Where I'm like, I want to like make this taste last as long as I can make it last. So I eat incredibly slow when it comes to like treats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I was the same. I'm not.
Are you a shoveler?
I'm a pretty fast eater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same when I drink Caesars. You are most welcome, Ash. Thanks for the question. Okay, so moving along.
So we kind of did actually touch on this. Basically it was how to break the fear of consuming carbs. So we got a woman, sounds weird saying lady or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, she reached out to us and said that she has been on a very low carb diet for a very long time, and it's been drilled in her head that carbs are bad and carbs equal weight gain. So she wants to break that cycle and she wants to get through this. So hopefully some of the stuff we've already touched on helps to answer that. Again, this is something that you really struggled with for years.
Yes. So I understand. I can't remember the person's name who asked. It doesn't really matter, but I really understand where she came from, because I used to be afraid of carbs. And like, I remember feeling, and it wasn't a fault of my personal trainer. Like, I hired a personal trainer when I was 21, 22.
Well, it kind of was.
It wasn't his intention to like fuck with my head that much, but it did.
But that's stepping outside of their scope of practice. And I was a trainer before I was a nutritionist, and it's like, he didn't have the knowledge to give you that information, and that information messed with you. So it is his fault. Even though it wasn't intentional, it was his fault.
I'll write him a letter.
Yeah.
No, I won't. But anyways, he made me like fear carbs, and like he made me like think that bananas were bad, like a banana. And apples and stuff. And I remember like it would almost be like I would get off if I only had like one piece of carb a day. And so I understand like how it can be scary because you would associate it with gaining weight. But my thing is A, do you feel good? Like mentally, do you feel energized? Do you feel clear-headed? Do you feel like balanced, like, you know, throughout your day? Like, do you feel satisfied? Right? Like all these things. So first of all, you have to ask yourself that question. If you are, then do what you're doing. Because if it's working for you, then whatever. But if you don't feel satisfied or energized in those areas, and you just feel like your hormones are off, start introducing it slowly.
Yes.
And you might initially gain weight, but it will come off. And I'm saying when you gain weight, like you might gain a pound or two because your body's like, oh, hello, carbs. I love you. I haven't seen you in so long.
It also can take time for your body to readjust,
Yes.
to get used to it again, because it's basically a foreign substance at that point when it's coming into your body, and your body always needs time to adjust.
Yeah, but it will adjust, and it will adjust quicker than you think. But most importantly, you'll feel better. You'll feel more energized. So like you'll hit your workouts harder. You'll drink more water. Like you'll just feel better in general. And then I'm not afraid of carbs at all, and it's very liberating because when I go places, I don't have to be like, okay, I'll have a salad and some chicken or whatever. And
Who wants to go to the restaurant every time they go out and only get the salad with dressing on the side and chicken?
And just vodka water's like boring.
Like, I get that sometimes. Well, I don't really do dressing on the side. And again, it's about balance. So it's like, no, not every time that we go out to eat are we like, give us the pasta.
Yeah.
But we're not afraid of it.
Yeah, and so I would say give it a shot, and then also educate yourself on how carbs are good for you. So like carbs have a really positive effect on your hormones, specifically for women. So like women are a lot more sensitive. I'm not saying you need to like have like a high carb diet. I'm just saying that like carbs are good for you, and you will feel it almost immediately mentally. You will notice a difference in your hormones response. Like I find like during my periods, when I'm able to satisfy that craving and stuff, I'm able to like push through like PMS a little bit easier. Once again, you don't want to overdo it, but you just don't want to be afraid of carbs. And when you do introduce them back into your diet and you're able to have all your macronutrients, which is great to have, you're going to have a much easier life to like navigate, because every time you go to somebody's house for dinner, or you go out, or you're packing a lunch or whatever, you don't have to be so restrictive. And and you'll just feel good, and you should be able to eat carbs. And so you might find that you like, and I know this can scare a lot of people. You might find you gain weight, and I'm talking like a pound or two, and then like for like a couple weeks, and then it comes off, especially if everything else is still the same. But like once you add it back in, you'll start feeling so much better that you will be motivated to stay on it, and then you'll actually start to lose weight. So I was saying to Kaylee earlier, I've had a couple clients that have came to me that were old, especially with my age group, which I'm sure maybe you're as well on that, like just that like tail end of it. Like Atkins was really huge when I was growing up, and like a lot of girls that I grew up with and wanted to diet did Atkins, myself included. And so anyone that did that yo-yo dieted a lot, and like they went up in weight and down in weight, up in weight and down in weight, and they had this like mindset that they couldn't have carbs. So I had two people in particular that I can think of off the top of my head where I had to convince to have carbs again. They're like, why have I hit this plateau, Ash? Like, why can I not lose weight? And like, I'm eating so healthy. I'm like, send me your food journal. Like, let me see what you're eating, and I'm going to go over it. They're never having enough carbs. And what's mind-blowing is that when they started to add it in, within 4 weeks, they'd lost weight. And because their hormones are more balanced, their cortisol is lower, and all those things have an impact on your weight loss. So it was really neat for them to see, because they're my age, and they came from that same time where they're like, Atkins, and I feel bad for having carbs. And then all of a sudden they have it, and they're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I'm less bitchy, and I lost weight. Cha-ching.
And I got to enjoy carbs again.
Yeah.
And it is really important to also talk about the difference between carbs. There are quality carbs, and there are not so quality. So there's complex and there's simple. So making sure that you're actually getting good quality carbs. Like, we're not saying to be eating white pasta and white bread and that kind of shit. No, we're very anti that stuff. We're talking about like sprouted grains, whole grains, quinoa. I have this new obsession with farro, which is like instead of brown rice, I'm all about the farro. And things like that, apples, carrots, things that are like good for you. They're satisfying, they're nourishing. So again, it's not the white and all that other crap. It's about quality carbs.
Like I used to feel bad for having cooked carrots because they're too high in sugar. Like that's such bullshit. Like it's a carrot. Like, don't feel bad.
If it comes from nature,
yes,
I'm not really too concerned about it.
No, just eat real
Like,
food.
as it goes sugar, when some people are like, oh my gosh, like, there's so much sugar in that, blah, blah, blah. Like, how can you juice when it's just like, it's very different when you're consuming fruit. Again, no, you shouldn't be eating 10 pieces of fruit a day. But like, to say like, I can't have that peach because I'm afraid I'm going to gain weight from the carbs and the sugar. It's just like, dude, an in-season peach, I'm sorry, there's nothing that's stopping me from that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so juicy.
Yeah, and so again, yeah, just playing with it. And one thing too, if you find that if you're like, as soon as I consume carbs, I find I get really bloated. One thing that you can do with that is not pairing your protein and your carbs together. So protein and carbs break down at different rates and on the inside of your body. So if you wanted to do something like having your meat and veggies and then having like, you can have carbs and veggies. So if that's one of the things is you're like, it just makes me feel bloated and heavy, it's probably combining the two. And it's just a lot easier in your digestive system to eliminate that. And then give your body a break, and it's just easier to break down. So if that's what it is, you can work around that, and feel free to like DM us if you have any more questions about that, because I understand this is a huge topic.
Yeah. So I understand the fear. To wrap this up, I understand the fear, but all I say is give it a chance. You always have to conquer your fear. So like, if there's something in you that's like, okay, I feel like I should be giving this a try, I feel like I'm restricting myself too much, then all you can do is try and conquer it by introducing it slowly and being amazed that like it has like an amazing effect on you.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then you go back to what you're doing.
Yeah. Like, some people just really do better on a low carb diet. Some people thrive on a high carb diet. So it's just learning to slowly listen to your body. And like I said, Ashley and I have been working on this for a long time. By no means am I perfect. Sometimes I think something's gonna be great and then I'm like bloated out to here. It's just about experimenting, and food journaling is a great way to do that. Writing down, especially if you're introducing carbs, I would recommend writing down everything that you eat and then your symptoms of how you felt. And it could be something that you ate in the morning that could be affecting your afternoon. So make sure you do it for a couple of days to start to see those consistencies. And if you're feeling okay, then there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have one more.
Yes. About walking, like standing a lot and walking on hard surfaces. So things like that will cause like joint pain, ankle pain, feet pain. So anything that we can recommend, I guess, to help with that, to help combat that.
So my first thing I would say, from somebody that used to work at General Motors and be on my feet for like 8 hours a day plus the gym, make sure you have orthotics if you need them. Like, if you're finding that you have a lot of joint pain, you have to make sure that you're in alignment. So definitely go see somebody because if you're out of whack and you need that support, that will have that's the base of everything. It's the base of your whole body, right? So if those are out of whack, then it can affect your hips, it can affect your knees, it can affect like everything, your back. So make sure, like, start there. Make sure you have like really comfortable shoes. Make sure they're not worn down. And one thing that like people forget to do is they always focus on like the really big muscles in their body when they're sore. Don't forget, if you're on your feet all the time, how much like weight your calves are bearing, right? Like, they're bearing your whole body weight. So stretch your calves, like crazy. You'd be mind blown how much that can relieve like stiffness in your joints. Like, just like
and same with your feet, like taking the ball, like the ball on the floor. And Lori asked this question and I'm training her tomorrow, so I can show you tomorrow. But just rolling a ball on the floor, you can just be sitting and just rolling your foot kind of over that ball.
Get all that blood circulating there.
Yes, and this is when I'm terrible for doing this. I was doing this the whole time we were talking. Is a lot of people will lean and have their weight on one hip. So if you can see me, you're kind of leaning one side, leaning on the other. It's actually much better for your body to be balanced equally on both your feet. It's not the most comfortable for me, and it might be something too that you have one leg longer than the other. Like, I have one leg that's almost half an inch longer. So it could be something like a shoe lift. Just getting that in your shoe that can take some of the pressure off. Otherwise, you were asking about inflammation and stuff as well, Lori. So things like the collagen powder that we drink all the time.
So good for your joints.
Yeah. Things like turmeric, which we're drinking right now, ginger, just getting foods in you that are anti-inflammatory. And I know you did ask about that, and we will talk more about that next week when we do part 2 of reducing inflammation and foods that reduce inflammation. But for now, it would be getting proper footwear for sure. Stretching, lots and lots of stretching.
And have baths, have like Epsom salt baths, and obviously we'll introduce like the foods, the anti-inflammatory foods next week, and keep moving. Because I notice I've gotten more sore sitting down doing computer work than I had being up on my feet all the time moving. And it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. So make sure, like, if your joints are sore a lot, like, get up and move. and get the blood circulating there. Go for walks and stretch, like you said, do some yoga.
Yeah. One thing, this is going back, I forgot when we were talking about curbing cravings and stuff. We talked a lot about carbs, but
High fat.
Yeah, exactly. Healthy fats are incredible for curbing your cravings and for keeping you satisfied. So one thing that we were saying that really works for us is like avocado toast. Like anything that's high quality fat, again, making sure it's a quality fat is really amazing for, it takes a long time to basically break down in your body. So that's why it helps to keep you full. Same with things that are protein. So basically having a snack that combines carbs, fats, and protein all in one is amazing for keeping you full longer. So that's why in like the meal plan, there's a lot of things that have coconut oil, almond butters, nut butters, avocados, things like that, that are gonna, seeds, nuts, all those things are really gonna help you to stay full for longer. So a lot of the times you'll see like healthy, like Weight Watchers has a bar that's like, oh, it's only 90 calories and this and that. It's like this big and it's all pure poison. Yeah, maybe it might taste good immediately, but there's nothing in there that's gonna satisfy you. It's not even real food.
No.
So focusing on real food, so even like an apple and peanut butter, like just making sure you're getting protein and getting those healthy fats is going to be incredible for keeping you full longer.
Just eat real food.
Yeah.
The acronym is JERF.
Yeah.
Just eat
it's
real
really
food.
that simple.
Yeah.
Lori commented, yes, that's good, Ash. I do feel more limber the more I move. Yeah, and even when she comes to work out, like from when you start your session to when you leave your session, she's definitely got way more movement, and we're seeing lots of improvement and everything with her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. So we can't wait to, we have like several more questions. So we can't wait to go over them next week, but we will come on here for like the next like day and check and see if you guys have any questions. But we've wrapped up for today. We've gone for 35 minutes.
Is JERF your podcast name?
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, it's Just Eat, so GERF. But that's actually a good one. There's some of the people that, because we had talked about, like for those of you that are like, what is that? We announced today that we're going to be, like, we just officially, like, selected our podcast name and, like, we're, like, in the movement, the process of, like, launching it. So we asked people what our names were, and, like, there were some really good suggestions.
I know.
Well, there were guesses, but I was like, that's a great suggestion.
We'll just say some people did guess right. We're not going to say what it is yet, though.
Yeah.
It's a secret. Or maybe guess really close to being right.
Yeah. And, like, and then, like, other suggestions, I was like, man, should we change our name?
I know, Meg, maybe we should have asked this before we picked our name. So, yes, we're going to answer next Tuesday. We'll be back to answer more questions. And depending on how this goes, like, it might be something we do once a month.
Yeah.
To get together and go. Because we understand there's tons of questions all the time, and it's a lot easier for you guys and for us to answer you guys this way rather than trying to type up an answer to everybody. It's really hard. And if you have that question, most likely somebody else has that question. So again, you can always like DM the question, like I said, and we'll try to answer it this way for everybody. You can comment, but DM if you want it to be private or send an email.
Yeah.
But just know that it'll be easiest for us to answer you guys this way.
Yeah.
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 What does that say? Anything? Watch while I was in a pink. You were in a bath while you watched it. Yes, that sounds. I'm actually going home to take a bath because
I think I might have one when you leave.
Yeah, I need it.
That sounds glorious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's everything, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. High five.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Take care. We will see. Well, I'll see you guys on Thursday, and we will see you next Tuesday. Okay. Bye.
See you next Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Bye.